Man, it has been a long ass time. Maybe I shouldn't have said ass right away, but it's all good because this stream probably ain't gonna be monetized anyway, because we gonna get a little ratchet in here. You feel me? I ain't announced to nobody that I'm doing this today, but we restarting it up, man. It's time to revitalize this channel. I've been working on a whole lot of different things. You feel me? I just got back from Spain. It was my first time up out the country. My very first time out of the country. I done been all over this country, but I had yet to be out of the country. But I hit up Spain and it was a good time. I came back with many souvenirs, but this is one of them right here. This Hulk fist. You feel me? I don't know what I'm gonna put in here right now, but it's probably gonna be some liquor. Not right now, though. I don't want no liquor at the moment. But we gonna get to putting it in here. You feel me? With this nice Hulk fist. But today, you probably guess what we're gonna be talking about. We're going to talk about Donald Trump. We're going to talk about the things that his administration is doing, the L's that we are taking as a nation. We got some impersonations going on. We're going to talk about the government shutdown, SNAP benefits, and all the people who are at risk. Well, shit, they're already losing them because not only is this government shutdown putting 42 million people at risk of literally starving because we already dealing with inflation. People can't afford goddamn anything. We can't afford a mortgage. We can't afford rent. You know what I'm saying? You look out on social media and you think everybody was rich, but we know that that's not the case. We got Alonzo in the building. We got Hassan. Thank you. It's good to be back. Fritza, Queen Fritza herself. What's going on? How are you doing? All of my sweet loves in one place. Are we going to get it back cracking? So this is what I'm thinking we going to do. Every Friday, I'm going to do a live stream to where I'm kind of recapping the things that's going on for the week. And once every day, I'm going to put up at least one video where I'm kind of talking about some big subject. But actually, I've kind of been thinking about what I really want to do going forward because, look, I ain't going to lie to you. You know what I'm saying? Like I cover politics for a living. I do it on TYT. So I'm not always trying to just come here and do that. I don't want to talk about politics at work and then come here and talk about politics too. It's a little much, but I've transitioned into filmmaking. You know what I'm saying? I recently completed my first documentary. I'm proud of it. It came out very well. On May 16th of this year, a tornado came through and devastated St. Louis, right? Like, what was it? $2 billion worth of damage, over 5,000 building structures destroyed. And the majority of the people who were impacted, as is usually the case, are lower income people in St. Louis, particularly in Black neighborhoods on the north side. And unfortunately, a lot of the victims did not have or do not have homeowners insurance because you see, when you're paying a mortgage, you have to have homeowners insurance because the bank, they got to make sure that they're going to get their money one way or another. If you're not going to pay it, the insurance company's got to pay it. But once you've paid off the mortgage, you don't have to have homeowners insurance anymore. And so naturally, a lot of people just opt out of it because how often is it that a once in a lifetime tornado comes through and destroys your neighborhood? It doesn't happen very often. So, and it's not even just for those practical reasons. Like a lot of the time, you know, people just can't afford it. Do you want to eat? Do you want your kids to, you know, maybe go to summer camp this year? Or do you want to pay for some shit that you might not use? And unfortunately, we're seeing this type of stuff. Well, we've been seeing this type of stuff with things like health insurance as well. You know, if you're young and healthy, a lot of people just opt out of paying it because they can't afford it. And unfortunately, right now, this is what the whole government shutdown is about because Republicans want to raise all of our premium healthcare costs. So more and more people are going to be opting out of that. But you can't plan for life. You know what I'm saying? You never know what's going to happen. So it's just a sad state of affairs. A truly sad state of affairs. But I'm finished with my first documentary. I'm going to put it out on this channel and I'm going to revamp my membership program. I'd like for all of you to participate in my filmmaking projects, you know, to give ideas, to help me with my information gathering, to help me secure different type of stuff, to give everyone credits for their assistance. I'm going to open up a Patreon account where we got special content. And a lot of my films going forward, this one in particular that I'm getting ready to put out soon, is about again the tornado, but also I interviewed people on city council, I interviewed some newscasters, I interviewed business owners, talking a little bit about the ins and outs of that. But most of my projects are either going to be St. Louis related or related to some sort of anthropology. One of the projects I'm working on right now is about human artistic expression, particularly within tattoos. Why do we do this? Why do people do this? How did we come about to do this? And that's what it's all about. So I'm going to revamp my membership program. I'm going to put out some information so that y'all know what's going on. And again, every Friday, at least on Fridays, might do it 2 days, but on Fridays, we're going to do a live show. So where do we begin? So today we're going to start off, unfortunately, with warmongering. You know, the anti-war president, Donald Trump, the man who, for some reason, people parodied his bullshit where, oh, he's anti-war, even though, right, in his first administration, he upped drone strikes by hundreds of %, even more than Obama did. He upped the drone strikes, right? And he assassinated one of the top generals in Iran, right? So that was always just complete BS. But this go round, we're up in the ante. We're trying to go to war with Venezuela because Venezuela, as you all know, has the biggest oil reserves on the planet. Fritz, the Spain trip was incredible. It was amazing. Spain reminds me a lot of California, and I've been there many, many times, but it was great. It was great. I'm gonna have to do a special stream where I'm just talking all about my adventures. But unfortunately, you know, I mean, what was it like? We've nine boat strikes that we've done off the coast of Venezuela, because apparently it's like you know, we're striking drug boats. But the truth is that the overwhelming majority of drugs come into this country either on airplane or over the Mexican border, right? That's how they get here. They don't come here on little fishing boats from Venezuela. And ain't no fentanyl made in Venezuela. That's not where fentanyl is made. Fentanyl is made here and in China. So let's get that together first and foremost. Okay, let's get that out of the way. But we just been straight up murdering fishermen. We blew up a Colombian boat, and I think it was last week that the Trump administration sent airplane carriers. What is it? The strike carriers off the coast, and now we got this anti-war president, my ass. U.S. poised to strike military targets in Venezuela, an escalation against the Maduro regime, because it's the same old story as it always is. We want your resources, and our military is more powerful than yours. So what are you going to do about it? But it's not going to go over that smoothly. The Trump administration has made the decision to attack military installations inside Venezuela, and the strikes could come at any moment. So again, we're just flat out doing it right out in people's face. There's no hiding it. There's no hiding it. This is what we're doing. And this is making absolutely no dent in the drug trade whatsoever. Okay. We already know what this is all about. As a matter of fact, I'm about to pull up a video right now, because this is related, where they're explaining how this doesn't impact the flow of drugs. So but you know, the American people at the end of the day don't want this. And unfortunately, Trump, even though he said, well, it says right there in the Constitution, I can't run for a third term, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to end up trying to do so. But unfortunately for him, his approval rating continues to tank. So let me pull this video up right now. We can watch a former agent of the federal government basically explain how these boat strikes are doing absolutely nothing. We're just murdering people. That's what we're doing. We're just murdering people for show. So let's check this out. Hold on. Oh, here we go with a bunch of BS. Here we go.
What Donald Trump is doing is he's blowing up these go-fast boats, but he has presented absolutely no evidence that they were carrying drugs. Secondly, he said that it was the Trendiera.
And again, I have to pause this. I'm probably going to pause it every few seconds because, okay, let's say that there were drugs on the boat. Does that give us the right to just blow them up and kill people? No, it doesn't. It doesn't give us the right to do that. But even if it did give us the right to do that, pragmatically, this isn't making a dent in the drug trade. The United States is the most drug addicted, cocaine snorting, Molly drinking, Molly snorting, however you do it. We do all the damn drugs. If we didn't do all the drugs, they wouldn't send the drugs here. So every time we point the finger at the cartels, why don't we point the finger at ourselves? Why don't we talk about the fact that we got the drug problems? Coming from somebody who didn't have drug problems their whole life, you feel me? I'm sober right now, by the way, so congratulations to me. But coming from somebody who knows what this shit is all about, right? I know how this works. I know what it is. It is so easy to get drugs on the streets because they're not regulated. It's hard to get prescription drugs. You want to know why? Because they're regulated. So if we legalized, taxed, and regulated these substances in some form or fashion, then it would make it more difficult for people to get them. So if you really care about, oh, these kids are doing all these drugs, well, how about we actually address it? We don't need to throw more people in prison. It hasn't worked for decades.
For example, that was shipping those drugs. The Tren does not engage in the transportation of drugs. They do engage in the distribution. Now, these boats coming from Venezuela or even Colombia do not carry fentanyl. It's cocaine. So he doesn't even understand that. But killing these people, civilians, is, here in the United States, it's against the law. It's murder. So Donald Trump is killing these individuals without any justification. And the problem is that what he's doing is not going to have an impact on the flow of drugs, because even if they were carrying drugs, these are low-level people. They're not major drug traffickers, but he does nothing to work with Mexico to basically attack the infrastructure of the major cartels.
Well, first and foremost, Donald Trump really isn't the one steering the ship. As we know, the whole reason that he ran for president this second go round, outside of ego issues, is so he could stay out of prison. Mission accomplished, at least for now. Because even if Donald Trump doesn't go to prison because of what the Supreme Court, they were like, oh, well, anything you do is a presidential act. Stephen Miller's not the president. All these Pete Hegseth ain't the president. All these other people, they're not exempt from their actions. So let's keep our eyes out. Hopefully these motherfuckers get locked up because they absolutely deserve it. You know who else deserves to be locked up? Elon Musk. That won't happen, but he deserves to be locked up too because he illegally fired thousands of people. He illegally cut billions and billions of dollars from things like cancer research and Meals on Wheels. I mean, and the most important thing that he did was he ended all the federal investigations into all of his criminal affairs. I mean, bro, these people are just evil. They're just evil. Not only do you cut hundreds of billions of dollars from programs that keep people alive, that keep the world safer, that give people a chance. The whole government shut down right now because you want to make healthcare more expensive. And the price of that is that people don't have access to food stamps, right? So 42 million people, 22 million households rely on that. And then they changed up the work requirement rules. Matter of fact, I got these written down because I don't want to get all of this wrong. One of the things here it is right here. 22.3 million families, as I already went over. And the Department of Agriculture recently halted their annual household food security report, which was announced on September 20th. Of course, because they don't want us to have that access to information about how many people are being impacted by this. There's no other reason. There's no other logical reason. Usually the simplest answer is the right one. Why would you end the report on food security? Because you're hiding the fact that you're hurting people. It's not more complicated than that. Previously, the work requirements only applied to people ages 18 to 54. Now that goes up to 64. An extra decade was added onto the work requirements. So think about how many extra people that cuts off. They talk about all the money that we're wasting on programs like SNAP. but obviously not the military, the budget cuts, and the tax cuts for the billionaires, which defund the government, which raise the deficit. You know, these people always talking about the debt and the deficit, but in Donald Trump's first term, even before we got to the pandemic, which he completely bungled, he raised the deficit by more than anyone else had in history at that point. And he's doing it again with the same old tactics, right? So let's go over more of these work requirements. So now, like I said, it used to be 18 to 54. Now it's up to 64. That used to include people in foster care ages 18 to 24. Now those people are no longer included, right? So if you were in foster care 18 to 24, the foster system is good that we have it, but it's a mess. It's a lot of people, unfortunately, get abused in that system. That systems like that can attract people who seek to abuse those who are vulnerable among us. You know, these people have a much more difficult go at life. And now they're being excluded from those requirements. Veterans and homeless people are no longer exempt from work requirements. The party who's all about the vets and the military. Okay, so now if you're a veteran, you're no longer exempted. If you're homeless, you're no longer exempted from that. And keep in mind, the majority of homeless people do work. So never lose sight of that. And then I got some more written down because of how much these people are just straight up evil. I wrote this down a few weeks ago. That's why I'm reading it, because I don't want to miss anything. And then so another thing that they did. I don't if you've never collected SNAP benefits or know anyone else who does, one of the things that you can do, or that they do, to basically calculate how much money you get, is you deduct your utilities from your monthly income so that they can see how much is left over. And that gives you like a good view on your discretionary income and things like that. Well, you no longer can deduct your internet expenses, right? But we use the internet all day long, whether it be our phones, whether it be to hook up to our TVs, or just literally to work, people who work from home or whatever it is. So that impacts 65% of participating households, which could lower your benefits by $10 per month, at least, right? So they already did that. With the big, beautiful bill. And now with the government shutdown, and there's, it was a hope that maybe by tomorrow they'll open the government, but I've seen no real indication to believe that that's going to happen. I haven't seen it, so we'll see. But they already did that, and now they got all these extra people going hungry. And as you know, the majority of people who collect SNAP benefits are Republicans in rural areas, but they continuously vote against their interests because racism continues to sell. As long as I'm a white man or a white woman, then that's more important than everything else. And unfortunately, it still continues to sell in this country, but that's to no surprise, because that is the very foundations. But yeah, this is sad. This is a tragedy. This shit is terrible. So now let's go ahead and look at a little bit of the how much this shutdown is really impacting people outside of people losing access to SNAP. Here, hold on, let's see. Let me go down here. There's a bunch of okay, we already went over those numbers. Here's a map right here that just gives you a look. The big, beautiful BS. Yes, it is. The big bullshit bill. We got Libby in the building. What's going on? Libby, I'm going to be doing live streams every Friday, posting at least one video per day throughout the week about hot political topics. And I'm getting ready to release my first documentary. And a lot of the content that I have on this channel will be structured around the film content. I'm about to restructure the membership program. I'll get all that information out. It'll be available for everybody. And we're going to keep this train moving along. So look, this is a look at how many people are impacted by this, right? So let's go to my home state of Missouri, a very, very red state indeed. You know what I'm saying? There's no question which way this state swings in elections. In Missouri, there are 655,339 people receiving SNAP benefits each month, about 10.5% of the state's population. Well, where am I at now? In Illinois. That's where I live now. 1,948,556 people, 15.3%. Well, let's go to Oklahoma, right? A very, very red state, 689,000. New Mexico, 469,000. Nevada, 503,000. So again, this is significant. This is huge. Pennsylvania, over 2 million people. You know, this is not a few people per state. Louisiana, 834,136 people. Texas, 3,146,408. Florida, good old Florida, almost 3 million people. So again, this is who this is impacting more than anyone else. Red states. $9.2 billion is the cost of food stamps for November. Now, at least 670,000 people, government workers who have been furloughed since the shutdown began, right? Almost 1 million people. Almost 730,000 federal employees who are working without pay right now. Actually, as y'all know, I'm gonna tell more stories about this, but on my special streams, I'm gonna do that. But I was supposed to be back from Spain on Monday, but I couldn't get back here. I mean, I was on standby. Maybe I could have got back on Wednesday, but the government shutdown not only impacted my flight, but there's over 8,000 flights that were delayed or just flat out canceled. And that has huge ripple effects in the economy for people who can't show up to work, and you know, people in high positions who are very important for that. You know, so this is a huge deal. So the 730,000 people working without pay, over 4,000 federal workers. The government disclosed it was trying to lay off during the shutdown, and luckily, a lot of the actions that the Trump administration is taking or attempting to take is being shut down by federal judges. Many of those federal judges being Trump appointed judges. I mean, you know that you are crossing all types of lines when your own right-wing MAGA judges are saying, "Nah, bro, you can't do this," but they don't care. They don't care. And Donald Trump definitely extra don't care. $130 million, the private donation Trump says he's used to help pay the military. Okay, whatever. At least $7 billion, the cost of the shutdown. So this is a big deal. And it drags on. You know what I'm saying? Like there's not, I have no idea what to tell y'all or anyone else about. I don't even know. I have no clue when this shit's gonna end. None. And you know, the last one, we got Lord of Bananas in the building, my brother. What is going on? You know, the longest shutdown before this was, of course, in Trump's first administration, and it lasted for 35 days. And maybe he's gonna break his record this go round. We can't stop winning. Are you tired of winning yet? All right. So we started off with the fact that, I mean, we're already going to war with Venezuela. The regime change is fully underway. It's not, there's just nothing else to say about it. Okay. So on top of that, check this out. Now, I don't know if y'all saw this, but Donald Trump, he's ordered us to restart our nuclear testing, which we haven't done since 1992, the year that I was born. And the reason that we stopped doing nuclear tests, one, because we don't need to, okay? The United States has over 5,000 nuclear warheads. Russia has more than that. Russia has more nuclear warheads than anyone else. Then we come in a close second. I think there's 8 nations that have nuclear weapons. And just this country alone, we have enough nuclear weapons to literally destroy all life on Earth. So, and so in addition to it just not being necessary, right, it also is horrible for the environment. It just is. Yeah, I mean, it radiation poisoning impacts human beings and every living organic thing. That's why we stopped it. But because China and Russia are doing it, oh, well, we got to do it too. Okay. So, and just like I said right here, the U.S. stopped nuclear tests largely for safety reasons. Even by the 1960s, scientists began to realize the dangerous effects that repeated nuclear tests were having on the atmosphere, spreading immense amounts of radioactive fallout across the globe. In response to growing issues regarding human and environmental health, nearly all nuclear tests were regulated underground August 5th, 1963. Just as important, however, were political and psychological factors. The spree of nuclear tests by the U.S. was always intended to intimidate the Soviet Union, which no longer exists. The Soviet Union is gone. Then later China, and enforced the doctrine of mutually assured destruction. Okay, so here we go. What are the harmful effects of the nuclear test? Let's read a little bit more about this. The Trinity test in July of 1945 stunned the world with a new weapon, one whose full properties were largely unknown by scientists and military figures alike. Some of the earliest experiments showcased this unfamiliarity, such as the one in 1946 and the Operation Crossroads, which aimed to measure the effectiveness of a nuclear tsunami on a naval armada by detonating a nuclear weapon underwater underneath a test fleet. Little time passed before the true extent of atmospheric contamination through nuclear tests became widely known. Atmospheric nuclear tests, above ground tests, release a tremendous amount of radioactive particles into the atmosphere. Okay. So you see that this is just no good. But because President Dumbass, President Kankles McTaco Tits, President Pussyneck is back in power, here we go again. You know, the man who he wanted to have the military parade as if Americans are going to be impressed by that. Nah, man, this ain't North Korea. You remember when Donald Trump, what did he said? He said some shit about how that Kim Jong-un, he's really got his people in line. I want my people to be just as obedient to me. We not your people, bruh. We ain't your people. Unfortunately, tens of millions of people in this country are not the brightest. And so we put you back in office. But most of us don't like you, man. And that's why your approval rating continues to tank. Because not only are you a warmonger, but your policies are making everything more expensive, right? Your policies are destroying programs that people rely on. And you affect single-handedly, basically. Well, I don't know about single-handedly, but you have impacted our ability to carry out diplomacy with the rest of the world. Why should the rest of the world be on board with us with anything, right? Farmers are struggling. Trump just made some type of deal with China to where they're going to buy our soybeans, but who cares, man? Who cares? That's not saving the future of the industry. China got access to, Argentina, Brazil, all these other countries that produce these products, that produce these agricultural products, and there's no telling who the American people are going to vote into office. Our heyday is done. Our heyday is done. All right, so look at this. Speaking of SNAP, let's go to these quote unquote Christian Republicans, because as we know, Jesus in Matthew chapter 20 verse 15 said, "Fuck poor people, cut SNAP." 4 words, you feel me? 4 or 5 words. That's all it was. Fuck poor people, cut SNAP. Tax dollars should not be going towards those who have the least among us. Of course, I'm joking. That's not what Jesus was about. In fact, Jesus's whole message, whether you believe in him or not, is quite beautiful. He's like, yo, bro, we should love poor people. We should love everyone. We should have less judgment, more empathy for each other. Don't you think that's beautiful? But that's not what Republican Jesus is all about. Republican Jesus is all about power and control and world domination. That's what he's all about. Dora, what's going on? Oh, Hassan, I will let them know. All right, so MAGA congressman, tell SNAP recipients to, quote, stop smoking crack in bonkers post. Again, keep in mind that the majority of people who receive SNAP benefits are not, the black people in the inner cities. No, it's white people in rural Republican areas. Now, what is this? This is something completely different. So we'll look at that in a minute. A MAGA congressman has gone on a finger-pointing rant aiming at food stamp recipients, accusing them of, quote, smoking crack ahead of a lapse in benefit funding. Clay Higgins, age 64, hit at the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, saying those without a month's supply of food in their pantries didn't deserve the help. Again, bro, and Clay Higgins is from Louisiana, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he is. He's a Louisiana rep. But you're talking about your constituents. You're talking about that's exactly who that is. Fritz from Louisiana, a Republican state. I mean, what the hell, man? If you can't afford food for the next month, it's because you don't deserve it. I mean, what do you even say to that? And again, you're talking about your own constituents. His comments come less than 48 hours ahead of funds expiring for the food stamp program, and we already went over the numbers of how many people are relying on this. Meanwhile, it's not even just that people are relying on this. The economy's crashing right before our eyes. Businesses are shutting down. People are getting fired left and right. As people's discretionary funds run out, that impacts businesses, like the non-commodities, the things that you don't absolutely need. These people are destroying this country. Okay, so let's see. I think, this is Clay Higgins. This is what he said. Now, I don't know how he sounds, so I can't perfectly imitate his voice. But this is what he said. He says, there are 22 million American households receiving SNAP benefits for groceries at $4,200 per year on average. Try to get your head wrapped around how many pantries you can stock with $4,200 in properly shopped groceries. Quote, any American who has been receiving $4,200 per year of free groceries and does not have at least 1 month of groceries stocked should never again receive SNAP because, wow, stop smoking crack. Fuck you, man. Fuck you. What does this even mean? Who the hell has a month's worth of food stocked up? Nobody. What kind of food? It's got to be dry, non-perishable items. And I don't know if you knew this, Clay Higgins, but human beings need to eat things that perish. We need to eat, we get a lot of our vitamins and nutrients from fruits, meat perishes, bread goes bad. So what, are people just supposed to have like a bunker full of baked beans and canned vegetables? I mean, but this is who these people are. This is who they are. Because, wow, stop smoking crack. And who does that allude to? Black people, because the crack epidemic primarily impacted Black neighborhoods. But the truth is, brother, that the majority of the people collecting these aren't Black. They're white and they live in places that you're supposed to serve. But, facts don't matter to racists because when you're racist, it requires you to be relatively stupid. As the Washington Post noted in an editorial quote, it's not designed for stimulating the economy or propping up stores, truckers, or farmers, nor should it be a bargaining chip for ending a government shutdown. But that's how they're using it. Until the Democrats let us take away your health care, y'all got to starve. And this is who these people are. And we just went over the numbers in Louisiana, right? According to the think tank's data in Higgins' home state of Louisiana, 847,100 residents receive food stamps, accounting to 18% of the state's population. The national rate is 12%. And look at that, another example of how Republican states suck at everything, right? The national rate is 12%, but your state is 18% of the population on it. And as we know, it's the blue states that finance the red states. That's how this works, because Republican policies don't work, because going about life thinking that no one else matters but you're going to run into problems because we live in a collective society. That's not how shit works, but these people are evil. Of Louisiana participants, 69% are in families with children, and 37% are in families with members who are older adults or are disabled. Okay, so if you're a kid, right, stop smoking crack, because if you're a child children don't have jobs, that's not how this works. Kids don't have money. So if you're a starving kid, basically, put down the crack pipe. Okay, put down the crack pipe, get your head out of your ass, and go get a goddamn job. I mean, bro, like what these people are, they're just something else. They're really something else. Okay. So there we go. Okay. Clay Higgins, what a douchebag. What is this? Okay. Trump's, this is something from Trump. Something he said on True Social.
I will not allow the Democrats to hold our military and the entire security of our nation hostage with their dangerous government shutdown.
No. And luckily, too, the American people aren't buying that this is a Democrat government shutdown. Nah, bro. Not only does Donald Trump hold the White House, but Republicans hold the House and the Senate. This is a Republican shutdown. This is the Trump shutdown. So you can say that all he wants, but people aren't buying it, and they're not going to. I mean, this is just, what? It's just unbelievable. All right, let's see. What is this? I don't know. That's something else. There's some polls, but that's something else. And while we're on the shutdown, we're going to go ahead and go over this. Mike Johnson, okay? Like I said, the polls show that the majority of Americans are blaming Republicans, rightfully so, for the government shutdown because, again, they're the ones who are in control. But Johnson, I don't believe it. I'm not buying it. Okay. Not buying the polls showing more voters blame GOP for shutdown. Good for you. I don't believe it. Okay, well, good for you, man. House Speaker Mike Johnson said he's not buying the polls. Quote, "It's very clear where the blame lies," he said during an appearance on Fox News, on Fox and Friends today. "The Democrats admit themselves that they are the ones shutting the government down, and they're having a hard time justifying that." I mean, what a loser. Imagine your whole career being about kissing Donald Trump's ass, but that's the whole Republican Party. It's what they all do. He added that he believed, quote, "public pressure is building against Democrats." No, it's building against y'all. You have a real pain that's been resolved by many Americans, millions of Americans, every day that this goes forward. And if we get past November 1st, it's a very serious situation for a lot of people. Okay, so then how about you stop trying to take health care away from Americans? How about that? Okay, if y'all stop trying to take away health care, then you would have the votes to reopen the government. But that's what you're doing after you've already taken health care away, mostly from Republican constituents. Hundreds of hospitals in rural Republican areas, over 700, are set to close. Over 700. Multiple public polls have found that voters blame the GOP more than Democrats for the shutdown, including a Washington and ABC survey released Thursday that showed 45% of U.S. adults blame the president and congressional Republicans for the federal government's shuttering. Johnson dismissed I just don't believe it. It's such a conservative thing. At the end of the day, the American people are wise, he said. They understand what's going on. They're going to see who's responsible. And there'll be a price to pay for that politically. Yeah, exactly. Y'all are going to lose. That's the price. So there we go. Mike Johnson, when confronted with the facts, he's like, I don't buy that. Okay, well, that's great. Good for you, my man. Good for you. And we have Trump's HHS department ordering state Medicaid programs to find undocumented immigrants. Now, I don't know if y'all knew, but if you're an undocumented migrant, you don't have a social security number. And if you don't have a social security number, you can't collect benefits, right? The only time that undocumented immigrants do collect Medicaid is if they show up to the emergency room with their spleen hanging out of their stomachs or their arms missing. If you're not in an emergency room, you cannot collect these benefits. Nonetheless, this is a wild intrusion of privacy, because in order for them to find undocumented migrants through this process, they're going to have to go through everybody's data. So this is a huge violation of privacy. The Trump administration has ordered states to investigate certain individuals enrolled in Medicaid to determine whether they are ineligible because of their immigration status, with 5 states reporting they've received more than 170,000 names collectively. Okay, so again, if you're on Medicaid, then they all up in your business right now, looking all through your stuff. So that's what this is about, right? Stephen Miller doing his thing. Thank you so much, Stephen Miller. Thank you. This is what we need, right? Meanwhile, this is reality. Meanwhile, this is the reality. Hold on, let me pull this up real quick. Well, the American dream feels impossible for many young voters who see no political fix. Let's just read some of these comments. We budget, we save, and do all we can to save and still feel behind. I'm really just scraping by. The sad truth is I can't think of a single politician whom I trust. This country is getting harder and harder for ordinary people to survive in. I feel like we are forgotten. Only 16% of those under 30 believe democracy is working well for them, with less than 2 in 10 of those 18 to 29 saying they trust the federal government to do the right thing most or all of the time. So we already read some of this. These people are, in their early 30s to their teens. Not good. And don't get it twisted either, because Democrats are not polling well. I mean, like, it's still pretty likely. I mean, normally the House swings to the party not in control during midterms. So it's still likely that by default, the Democrats will take it back. But there's no guarantee of that, because Democrats are polling it well. I think the last poll I saw was like 33%. So there's going to be a lot of people who don't show up to the polls unless Democrats fight. But again, there's no real guarantee that they're going to do that. That's why I always say that it's really up to us to be the change. It's really up to us. If you want to run for office, if you know anyone who is very community oriented, who may want to run for city council, encourage them, support them, because that's really what we need right now. We can't count on we can't count on establishment career politicians to do the right thing, and we know this. So if we want change, then we're really, really going to have to make that happen. Okay. So that's pretty much what we got right now for today, at least. Again, this is my first live stream for quite some time, so it was a bit short, but thank y'all for showing up. I really appreciate the support. Again, I'm going to do a live stream every Friday. I'm going to schedule them too, so that you'll see throughout the week when it's going to be. Every Friday, we're kind of going to recap the week every day, Monday through Friday, maybe on weekends too, but definitely Monday through Friday. I'm going to put up at least one video talking about whatever the big thing of the day is, probably making fun of Donald Trump, because I mean, we can't get enough of that content, but also, like I mentioned, I recently finished my first film project. It came out really well. And I'm excited to release it, and I'm going to restructure the membership program because I'd like for all of you to help me out in this process. I'm going to be making a lot of films about really interesting subjects. Really, my biggest passion is anthropology. I think that human beings are fascinating. And I think that the better that we can understand ourselves and each other, the more likely it is that we can move forward with progress. The more likely it is that we can have a higher sense of empathy for one another, especially in a country like this. It's very important that we do so. So thank y'all for joining me. I'm about to sign off, get a little bit of other work done. Then I'm going to head out because it's Halloween. I'm going to do my thing for Halloween. And again, over the next several days, I'm going to put up a bunch of information so that y'all know what's up about what I'm got going. Join me next Friday. I will see you on Monday with my content. Queen Fritza especially. We got to wrap. I got to hit you up. We got to talk. And again, y'all have a good rest of the day. Have a good holiday weekend, and I will see you soon. Hey now. Thank you so much for tuning in here at Politics and Paper. If you like what I do and you support my work, go ahead and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it, and really helps to support what we do here.